Um, yeah, so anyway, when they went ska, that just, I did it for a while. It was kind of fun, but it just ultimately wasn't me. So then I started looking around for a rock band, and that's, if I'm getting ahead of your questions.
No, you're doing
well,
fine.
That's how Bitch started.
Okay.
Am I supposed to, I can't, I'm like,
You just look
alternating
right at,
between
just look
looking
right
at you
at the
and looking at
look
the
right at the lens.
Okay.
You're doing fine.
Yeah, so then I advertised in the Music Connection as a singer looking to get into a rock and roll, hard rock band. And David Caruth, the original Bitch guitar player, answered my ad, and he and our drummer Robbie were out here they moved out here from Texas. They knew each other from being musical in Texas from bands. Okay. And they were looking for, they didn't even necessarily have in mind a female singer. They were just looking to form a heavy metal band with a singer. They already had the name Bitch, but they were actually looking for a male singer.
Right.
And they saw my ad, and I think David went out and real quick and bought American Masquerade by the Box Boys so he could hear how my voice sounded, and he and I met, and the rest is history as far as.
So where did you guys get the idea? Who had the idea for this? And I'm going to mention that.
It just kind of evolved after the band got together. I think after the song "Live for the Whip" was written, we thought, which was one of our first songs actually that David wrote. We just decided, that we wanted a visual along with, with the music, something that people were going to remember us by. And so the song "Live for the Whip," kind of was instrumental, no pun intended, in us coming up with that image. There was a lot of male leather and studs bands around LA. Everyone, the Judas Priest thing, and we figured, let's do it with a female singer because no one was doing it yet.
Exactly.
Anyway, so that's how that all
So
kind of
about
evolved.
what year was that roughly?
That was like 81.
Okay. And so you in '82 you released "Damnation Alley" with Metal Blade High, and that's the first album that Metal Blade ever does. You basically start them per se, if you want to look at it that way. How does that come about? How do you get on Metal Blade? And you're also one of the reasons I'm doing this is you're really about pretty much the first female first female heavy metal singer ever on record labels. So how does this all come about?
Let's see. We got together, we formed the band, Robbie and David and I. We grabbed a bass player, one of now, 14 or 15 and still counting. We just, we started writing songs and booking gigs, and David knew Brian through his record store. Brian Slagle owned a record store called Oz Records.
Okay.
And David was a huge collector of import, export, import albums, picture discs, original, test pressing. I mean, he was like a rare record collector. Brian, his store kind of specialized in that. So David found out about his record store and went there, and knew Brian as just, as the owner of the store and as David being a patron. And Brian was he just had the seed of the idea to start up Metal Blade Records. And David happened to mention, that he was in a band or starting up a band, and mentioned, the name and blah blah blah, and I think got Brian a demo tape, and so Brian was running Metal Blade Records out of the garage of his mother's house at the time, and he put us in a studio. It was actually self-financed. I think he helped, but we kicked in some money too.
David and I financed it.
Oh, he didn't. Well, they put it out, right?
They put it out.
Yeah. So we released it through Metal Blade while Brian was still working in his mother's garage.
Okay. So not long after this, you had Metallica open up for you?
Yeah, well, Metallica was, Brian, after Damnation Alley, Brian started releasing these compilation albums called Metal Massacre.
Yeah.
And Metallica, being from the crop of LA heavy metal bands, Brian had them on his label. I mean, you weren't an LA heavy metal band if you weren't on Metal Blade Records. I mean, Brian just scooped all these bands up: Slayer, Metallica, Rat, Malice, who else?
The Flotsam and Jetsam on there eventually. Too.
Yeah, Flotsam and Jetsam.